Here's a question that I asked, and it silenced the entire room full of veteran sales professionals. I asked them, when was the last time you actually practiced your craft? You practiced your sales conversations. I don't think a single hand went up. These same people, many with decades of experience and millions in earnings and closed deals, they'll tell their children that practice is essential for improvement. Yet they've exempted themselves from this fundamental truth. In the second part of our conversation, Pam and I confront the uncomfortable reality that's holding back even the most experienced, seasoned sales professionals. The belief that training and development are only for beginners. What we discovered will challenge everything you think about your own professional development. Because there's a massive difference between being good at sales and being a true professional. I might even suggest that being good is nothing more than being average. When it comes to improvement and committing to one's craft, amateurs will do so out of convenience, while high performers proactively seek out the feedback and invest in themselves. How much they earn has nothing to do with it. Let's get started. This week, did a workshop for some seasoned veterans. So these individuals probably all have at least 10 years in their respective field. That's 10 years plus of experience. And you would easily argue many of them have had successful experiences. So it wasn't just experience. They'd actually had some nice accomplishments and achieved some financials and other types of criteria, which would be called wins, whatever, right? One of my first questions out of the gate was, all right, when you guys have children, who has children? Most hands went up. And then it was, okay, when you see that your children need to get better at something, because it's just new and it's important now, what do you tell them they got to do in order to get better at it? And without a doubt, right, everybody was like, practice. I go, okay. And then I'm like, so what do you guys do? And lots of different answers. Well, we sell, right? We build trust, right? We build relationships. Those were like the answers, right? I'm like, okay. How do you guys do that? How do you build trust? How do you build relationships? How do you sell? How do you do all that? And they were like, well, we have to go talk to people. We have to meet people, right? And it's like I was asking them questions that they never heard before. So finally, I'm like, is there a chance that you build relationships and you build trust, right? And those potentially equal selling, right? And they were like, yes. Is there a chance then that it's your conversations that you build the relationship through, that you establish and build the trust through your conversations? And there was dead silence in the room. Finally, everybody's like, yeah, it's our conversations. Okay. When is the last time you practiced your conversations? We don't. So I think what that means is do people really understand what it means to get better? We tell our kids they got to get better through practice, but do we actually get better? Do we have that same mentality of practice? And I don't think as adults do.
Funny you say that, Dan. I had an experience as well. New client, and this is one of definitely the more tenured rooms I've walked into. And we kind of had a good discussion. And I said, is anybody have anything that they want to kind of bring about before we get started? And this gentleman said, I do. He said, I've been doing this a very long time, and you don't do what we do. So I'm not sure why I'm here. was like, oh, really? As it was a great conversation to start. And I agree, Dan. There is some level of stigma when you hear the word training or development that
Yes.
people tend to associate with new people.
Exactly. It's so true. Yeah.
And, it's funny because we started talking about professional sports, professional athletes, professional singers, songwriters, actors, actresses. We kind of started talking about that. And I just kind of let them talk amongst themselves. And it was funny. The one guy, over the course of the day, got back to this place where he said, I think I've convinced myself, based on how I view my role, the training and development isn't necessary. And I'm like, tell me more. And he said, okay, no, I'm not a professional athlete. I'm not a professional singer. I'm not a professional this. But why don't I want to be a true professional in what I do? And why would I think that that doesn't mean a constant look into how I'm doing what I'm doing each and every day if I truly say I want to be professional at it? And I loved the conclusion that he came to. But I will tell you, Dan, more and more and more, I'm finding that there is a level of what's training and development? How do I become a professional in what I do? And I'm trying to even like replace the word good. I don't like, hey, I'm really good at what I do. Am I a professional at what I do? Can I truly say I'm a professional sales coach. I'm a professional commercial insurance broker. I'm a professional, whatever the words are. I'm a professional. And I liked what he said. He's like, I associate being a professional with ongoing development. I associate, well, I'm good at it. I'm stopping. Now, granted, it took the 4 hours and he was very verbal and challenged quite a bit, but it was nice to kind of see him think about this differently. So I would challenge anybody out there that thinks training and development is for somebody new and green and young, and you train and develop until you get to a point where you're good at something, is not the same as being a professional in what you do, because a professional is never going to stop developing themselves, ever.
What's interesting, first off, is I absolutely agree with you. There's such a big difference between being good and a professional, and it comes down to thinking and behaviors.
Yes.
The behaviors and the thinking of someone who's good are going to be very different than the thinking and the behaviors of someone's professional. Someone who's a professional knows that next level is out there beyond where they are. And they know it's up to them to bring it out of themselves. What's also what I was thinking about is how many years you and I have coaching under our belt, but we don't have necessarily any quote unquote certifications. But how many books do you read, Pam?
A lot.
How many classes and courses do you take on your own that no one tells you to advance your own skill set?
One a week.
Okay. Do you have a coach?
Yes.
Same. See? The amount of books I read, the courses I take, the coach, we both have it. Why? Why do we do it?
I want to be a professional at what I do.
We want to keep elevating to that next level of whatever that might represent. But it's not about being good. It's about being a professional at what we do. And so I think that's a great way to look at how someone can evolve, or should they evolve. As we wrap up, let me ask you directly, are you good or committed to what you do? How much does money influence that answer? Because they're not the same. Good can be established through God-given talent. Commitment requires sacrifice, accepting discomfort, and a relentless pursuit. The answer isn't in your title, your years of experience, or even the numbers that you make and the numbers that you sell. It's how you approach your craft every single day. Professionals don't just execute, they deliberately practice. They don't just accumulate experiences, they actively seek development. And they certainly don't believe they've arrived at some final destination of mastery. When you leave the second part of our conversation, I challenge you to look at your calendar for the next week. How much time have you blocked for improvement, investing in yourself, or deliberate practice in your conversations? If the answer is none, you've just identified one of your biggest growth opportunities. The most dangerous competitor you face isn't the one with more resources or a better product. It's the one who's practicing while you're coasting on experience and past successes. Which one will you be moving forward?